Hey guys, I'm Jordan and welcome to Mickey Bomb Vlog. Today we're going to be talking about how I plan my Disney wedding. I did a video prior to this about our Disney engagement, so I thought I'd follow it up with how we planned the wedding, and then a little bit later in the video I'll put down here at the bottom like how many minutes in, if you want to skip ahead, see kind of the days leading up to it and the day of the wedding, and that's where I'll put most of the pictures in at the end there. But so first I'm just going to talk about kind of how we got things started, how we ended up deciding on a Disney wedding, and just a few steps that we went through to plan it and everything. At the beginning of November we got engaged and we came home and I started planning a wedding for the following New Year's Eve. And it was going to be like a 600 or 700 person wedding, and it was going to be huge, all this crazy stuff. And then we kind of had a family issue, so we decided we weren't doing that, and then I had to figure out what we were gonna do. Kind of started thinking about doing a smaller wedding and doing a destination wedding. So I just started looking into places, and Disney came up, and I thought, like, could I do a Disney wedding? Is that a little too much for me, or would it be fun? I started kind of like playing around with it and everything on the Disney Fairytale wedding. You could go on their website, you can kind of just put things in. I don't know if you can do it anymore without actually getting to the point where you have to put an email and everything, but it used to be able to kind of play around with it. So I was doing that, and then I thought, like, well, could we actually have a Disney wedding? So I talked to my husband about it, my fiance at the time, and he was like, yeah, I mean, I'm on board, whatever you want to do. So I went to my mom, I talked to his parents, and then I talked to the bridal party. Everybody was on board and said they were all for it, they wanted to go and everything. So I thought that's all we needed. As long as we had our family and our close friends, it didn't matter. I didn't care how many other people came. I would have been happy with just that. So we really started getting into the planning in February, and I started going over with the wedding planner, like when would be a good time for us to have the wedding. And I really wanted everyone to be able to experience the Food and Wine Festival. So I ended up picking September 30th, and it was a Tuesday, which we're gonna get married for a destination wedding. You're already on vacation, so I felt like the day of the week didn't really matter as much. I guess in hindsight, maybe a Sunday or Monday would have been a bit more practical for people who were coming in for like a long weekend or something, but honestly, that thought did not enter my mind at the time. I had no experience planning a wedding whatsoever. Not only was it easily available to pick a day during the week, it also was cheaper. So consider doing it on a weekday, because if you're on vacation, it really doesn't matter. It worked out for us perfectly fine. I think there was only really a couple people who couldn't come that I really wish would have been able to be there, but just something to keep in mind, that if you are trying to get costs down, try switching it to a weekday and see if that helps. Once we had the date finalized, then I had to start getting a list together of everybody we were inviting, which was probably my least favorite part about planning a wedding, is doing the guest list. So once we decided to have a small wedding, we had to look at our list and really take it down to exactly who we wanted to be there, basically. It was hard, but we live in Youngstown, Ohio. Weddings are generally 300 people is the average wedding. Bigger weddings are like 600. It really isn't that crazy around here. It is a lot. I'm glad we didn't do it. We ended up inviting about 150. We pretty much kept it to family and close friends. We ended up getting 75, including the bridal party that were there, and it was the perfect number. I loved it. We had pretty much everybody who wanted to be there. So it worked out really well for us. The next thing we had to do, and this was my absolute favorite part of planning the whole wedding, was picking the ceremony and reception location. So there were so many options for this, you guys. I'm gonna try and touch upon all of this. And some of this has probably changed, because keep in mind, we got married almost 6 years ago in 2014. So I'm sure a lot of these things have changed. Some of these places don't even exist anymore. So just keep that in mind while I'm talking, is that it might not be an option anymore. I don't know what the options are now, but this is what it was when we were there. So just keep that in mind. So as far as ceremony locations is why we didn't do it at Magic Kingdom. The main reason is that in order to have a wedding at Magic Kingdom, the ceremony would have had to been before the park opened or once the park closed. So on average, I would say that Magic Kingdom's probably 8 and 9 o'clock opening. Could be earlier at 7 too, if there's extra magic hours. Closing wise, I think the earliest she said it would close was 7 o'clock, and the latest was 10 o'clock. So if you wanted the ceremony there, the ceremony would have to start at 6, I think she said, which I thought was so early. And hair and makeup would be at like 3 in the morning, 2 in the morning, and I just didn't want to do that. So we eliminated Magic Kingdom really fast because of that for the ceremony in the morning. you could have a ceremony at night, but I'll get into Magic Kingdom until I think it's 2 hours after close. So if they close at the earliest was 7 o'clock, the ceremony or reception couldn't start till 9. If they closed at 9 or 10, 2 hours onto that. So, and either way, you had to leave by 1 a.m. So I thought, you're paying the same amount pretty much. I think Magic Kingdom was a little bit extra, but not a lot at all. It was a little bit extra. But you were paying the same amount either way, no matter what your location was. More paid per head and things like that, or add-ons and that kind of stuff. But just to pick your place, if you were having the ceremony in one of the theme parks or a hotel, I think that might have been a price difference, but all 4 theme parks were pretty much the same price. I think Magic Kingdom, like I said, was slightly higher, but nothing astronomical at all. We could have done it. It's just, I thought the timing didn't work out more than anything for us personally. Next, we thought about Epcot because we got engaged there. So I thought maybe we could do something with that, have the ceremony or reception in the Italy Pavilion, because that's where we got engaged if you watched our other video. And I'll link that below. So it was the same thing with Epcot. If we wanted to have the ceremony there, it had to be before the park opened, which I think the day we wanted to get married, the park opened at 11 a.m. World Showcase side. So we could have the ceremony there. I think it had to be at 9 a.m. I didn't really want to have to, have a 9 a.m. ceremony and then 6 a.m. hair and makeup or whatever it would have been. I kind of decided once we started talking about this that I think I wanted to do it ceremony and then reception follow. I just thought it'd be nicer to do it all at the same time. That way people have earlier in the day to go do whatever they wanted to, and then later in the day would be the wedding. So that eliminated Epcot for the ceremony. As far as having the reception there, I've seen receptions there and they were beautiful. We've seen them in Italy and in France, down by the water there, they have little sectioned off areas. The only problem I had with that was we had seen so many wedding receptions there, and I didn't like that people could watch you. I don't like people watching me, and I really didn't know how it would work with music and stuff, because I know it's loud around the World Showcase as you're walking, and especially during Food and Wine Festival. So I just thought it'd be really crowded in there, and it was probably better to just not have it there. There was other places in Epcot too that you could have the reception. I know there was a lounge and test track that you could have the reception in. Coral Reef, you could have it there too. I'm not sure what the time with that is, if it had to be after the park closed or what the deal is. I never really looked into any indoor spaces. Then the other options were Hollywood Studios and Animal Kingdom. So Hollywood Studios, really cool options, and I did consider some of these ones. The one that I thought was the coolest was on Great Movie Ride, RIP Great Movie Ride, we miss you. But on Great Movie Ride, you could have had the reception in a couple different scenes, I think, depending on how many people you had. So if you never were on Great Movie Ride, it was scenes from different movies, and there was a Wizard of Oz scene, there was like a gangster scene, a Western scene. So I think you could have picked any 3 of those. I've seen pictures of them, so I'm gonna try and find those and I'll post them real quick on here. But they were pretty cool. The only thing I thought was, I didn't know if I really wanted it to be that themed. Like, you knew you were in Disney. In the pictures, it would be very apparent that you were in Disney World. It was definitely a different reception. So it was just a different direction that I didn't know how Disney I wanted it to be. I knew I wanted to be in Disney World, but I didn't know if I wanted it to be overly Disney themed necessarily, if that makes sense. So we didn't pick those, but I did think they were awesome. Another one at Hollywood Studios that I thought would have been so pretty was Tower of Terror. Out on the terrace there, they do weddings there, and I'll show pictures of that too. It was gorgeous. I loved it. By the way, if anybody has had a wedding at any places in Disney, let me know. I want to know all the possibilities where you could get married there, because it was like location after location when you were looking at this stuff. So I would love to know what more options were, or what options are now even, because obviously I don't know about now. Anyway, so at Tower of Terror, you could have paid extra too, and you could ride Tower of Terror during the reception. Now again, I still wanted a traditional reception where there was music, dancing, drinking, and all that, and I figured being able to go on a ride would kind of take away from the actual reception itself. I think the reason we eliminated that was, again, because I don't think they closed till 7 o'clock, so it wouldn't start till 9 o'clock. And I still felt like that was a little bit late. That left Animal Kingdom. I saw pictures and I fell in love with Animal Kingdom. The only option in Animal Kingdom, as far as I knew, was that Harambe area where Tusker House and Doggo Bar are. And then across is like that Tamu refreshment post. and then all the way in the back would have been where you get on Kilimanjaro Safari. So it was this big area right in the center there. They set up, it's actually where they do the dancing there and the music during the day. So it would have been that area right there. They would have done a bunch of round tables everywhere, and then lights were strung up across the trees and everything. So it was so pretty and I loved it. So we decided on that. And the other reason was, at the time, Animal Kingdom closed at 4 or 5 o'clock. And I think because it was a Tuesday, I think they closed at 4. So we could easily start the reception by 6:30 or 7, they said. We picked Animal Kingdom, and she kind of went over with me, just in case it rains. It probably won't. She's like, normally that time of year, it rains during the day and then it stops. But we need to talk about like a backup plan. And they said usually they use Pizza Safari as the backup plan. Well, I didn't really like Pizza Safari. It was very bright and bold, and I didn't really want that. So I started looking at different things, and I asked them if we could be Tusker House, and she said yes. So that was all taken care of. We had the reception done. Ceremony-wise, throughout all this planning of looking at different venues, we came up with the wedding chapel at Grand Floridian. I had seen a bunch of weddings there as a little girl, just, driving by on the monorail, seeing brides come to walk over to the wedding chapel and everything. So I thought that's probably our best option. The wedding could have been at whatever time we wanted to. We just had to have it scheduled. There was no other wedding at that time. It wasn't a very long ceremony. I think it was like 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and it felt like forever to me. But we had the ceremony there, and this was before they redid it. They redid it now, and it is so beautiful. I thought it was pretty when we got married there too, but they actually made it look even better. So definitely look into that if you're a bride planning a Disney wedding. It is such a great option. And it's not the park, but you do have a lot more flexibility with when you actually want to have the wedding and get married, especially if your reception, is going to be in one of the parks. Then I feel like your schedule can be a little bit more flexible for what you want it to be. We had the ceremony and reception picked. Then we moved on to things like floral and table decor. That was pretty easy for me because I'm not very picky with flowers. My mother-in-law used to be a florist, and I had her just tell me some ideas of things that she thought would look good. And I showed the florist from Disney a few pictures I found on Pinterest, and that was pretty much it. Saw anything, and I probably could have asked for it. I just didn't care. I told them they knew the space better than I did. They knew what would work best. I liked candles, and I liked kind of like those tree branches more because it was Animal Kingdom. I kind of left it up to them, whatever they wanted to do. I never asked for anything. I just told them a number that I wanted to keep it at, and they did. So that was very easy. They talked to me about things like place settings. So place settings, they had a lot of cute options too. You could actually get hats made for everybody with their name embroidered on the back, which was really cute, but very expensive. So I didn't do that, but we did do these little Mickey chocolates, and they sat up like place cards would. And then on the ears, it was different animal prints. So I liked that. It was a cute nod to Disney and Animal Kingdom, but not overly Disney. Because again, I didn't want it to be this crazy Disney wedding. I just wanted it to be like my wedding in Disney. So I know that sounds stupid probably, like why get married in Disney, but I don't know, that was just my vision at the time. I think that was it as far as really working with the florist on that kind of stuff. For photography, they said we could use an outside photographer or we could use one of their photographers. So we went with the Disney photographer from Disney Fine Art Photography. Her name was Stephanie Caldwell, and she was amazing. You can follow her work on Instagram. She did an amazing job, and she was so nice and easy to work with. We decided to upgrade the photography package to do the photo shoot in one of the parks 2 days after the wedding. So we decided on Magic Kingdom. So she shot our wedding. She came in the morning of the wedding, and then she did the ceremony, the reception, and then 2 days later we went into Magic Kingdom and she did some shots for us for like an hour. And I loved some of those. We didn't get married there, but we still got our castle pictures and everything like that. So it was the best of both worlds to me. We also had Disney do the videography, and they did an amazing job too. And I think with our package, we got 2 DVDs, which now they probably give it to you digitally, but we have 2 DVD copies of it. And I need to find out how to upload that. So if anybody knows how to do that, if you could tell me below too, I want to upload that and maybe put that on here for you guys to see. If anybody would be interested. Last thing we did was food and alcohol. Alcohol was easy. They just had tiers of alcohol like everywhere else does. And then we did food. And food was easy in the sense that there was just so many good things to pick from. but hard in the fact that there was so many options that sounded amazing at the same time. So I trusted Disney. We never did a food tasting. It was unrealistic for us to be able to fly down from Youngstown, Ohio to Florida to make these decisions. I wasn't worried about it. I know Disney does a great job with things. I'm a pretty easygoing person when it comes to stuff. So I personally never flew down there and did like trial makeup. We never tasted the food, nothing. We were completely surprised on the day of the wedding. And I kind of liked it that way. I was just as surprised as everybody else when we walked in. Our DJ was amazing though, Willie Lugo, and he did a great job with everything. So that was pretty much it. Having the Vita, Brennan was our wedding planner, and having her help me with everything made it such an easy process. It was more like, you know, here's a list of vendors, pick what you want. If you want to bring an outside person in, you can. But I just went with everything that they suggested pretty much. I figured they knew better than I did. They've done this a million times. So I thought they did an amazing job with everything. And I don't know, I was really happy with it. I would highly recommend it. Again, if you had a Disney wedding, I would love to know. So please comment below and tell me, you know, when it was, where it was, I don't know, just what you guys did, if there's anything that stood out to you that was special. So yeah, that was pretty much everything as far as planning went. Again, easy. Highly would recommend it to anybody who wanted to do it. Pretty much covered everything with how I planned it. If you guys have any questions or anything, you can comment below and ask, or you can just message me on Instagram at MickeyMomBlog. I am on there all the time, so I answer pretty quickly on there. So now I guess we can just get into the actual wedding itself. Like I said, the wedding was on a Tuesday. We flew out on Sunday at 6 or 7 a.m., started with Bloody Marys on the plane, and we just kept it going all the way to Epcot. We were gonna do Drinking Around the World, and pretty much everybody from the bridal party was showing up that day. So I got them all shirts made that said, I think Drinking Around the World on the back, and there was a bride and groom, Mac and Jordan's wedding or something. We all had the matching shirts, and then I had Sharpies for everybody to mark off their shirts as the day went on to go to each country and drink. So that was probably, next to the wedding, was one of my favorite days, because as we were walking around the World Showcase, we just kept meeting up with more and more people that were coming. So we had so much fun that day. You know, the Food and Wine Festival was going on, so we had a really good time just going around eating and drinking and everything. And you know, people, I had a sash on, people would stop and say congratulations and everything, and it was really fun. The next day then, we had the wedding rehearsal. That would have been Monday. So we went to Hollywood Studios that day, and a couple of my husband's groomsmen were at Epcot who had just gotten in, and they were at the E to the B concert, and Hanson was playing. So it was time for rehearsal. So I said, we'll go grab him, and then we'll meet you guys at Grand Floridian to have the rehearsal. So me, my brother, and brother-in-law ran from Hollywood Studios to Epcot, which seems close, but when you're running and in a time crunch, actually, it's not as close as it seems. We got to the American Pavilion, so we took a breather, had a drink. At this point, it's starting to get close to time, and I'm like, oh my God, we have to go. But Hanson was playing Bop, so obviously I had to hear that real quick. So we start running. It starts pouring down, raining. We're running all the way through Epcot, and I see a Disney PhotoPass photographer. I'm like, oh, we have to get a picture real quick. I don't know why these were the ideas that were going through my head when we were cutting it close. So we finally get to the monorail. I'm like, oh, okay, good. Like, all we have to do is change monorails at the Ticket and Transportation Center, and we're good to go. Maybe another 10 minutes. And I think we were like 20 minutes from the rehearsal starting. So at this point, we're on the monorail. We get to Ticket and Transportation Center. All the monorail shut down. When something like that breaks down and they're not starting it up, everybody either goes to the ferry or they go to the buses. While we're walking to the buses, we see my husband and some of the other groomsmen, and I'm like, oh my gosh, none of us are there. This is terrible. We are going to be in so much trouble. Our moms are calling us. They're mad at us. So I think we were like 40 minutes late for our rehearsal. After the rehearsal, we all went back to our resort. We were staying at Boardwalk, and we had the 3-bedroom grand villa. So we decided just to have a party there and have whoever was in town just come up to our room. And my father-in-law and his brother, who's a chef, they cooked food for us and everything. And so it was just kind of nice and relaxing. The next morning I woke up, you know, bright and early. Can't wait to get started. We're getting ready, and they had me facing away from the window when they were doing my hair. This noise, and I'm like, is somebody moving like furniture around out there? Like, it sounded like that metal like being pushed. And they're like, no, it's kind of storming out. And I'm like, oh, good, okay. So I finally get done. It's still raining. The florist comes up, they're bringing me my flowers and everything. And then the photographer gets there. It stopped raining now. And she's like, I think it's going to clear up and we'll be able to take pictures outside and everything. In the meantime, the wedding planner called and said, what do you want to do? It's raining. We're getting closer now to when we start to setting up for the ceremony. Do you want to have it inside or outside? And I said, do whatever you guys think is best. I trust you. I am leaving it all up to you. So we're taking pictures. We go down the lobby, get in the limo, and head over to the Grand Floridian. So I have all the girls with me. And then I think at this point while we're traveling, I think she left us for a little bit. She went over to Grand Floridian, was already there. She took the pictures of the groomsmen. So it was really fun, I have to say, like being all dressed up in your wedding dress and everything down in like the lobby. All these little girls kept coming up and thinking I was one of the princesses. I really was happy I got to do that because I didn't know we were going to do them at the Grand Floridian. She had mentioned it, but I didn't know for sure exactly what was going to happen. And Grand Floridian to me was one of those hotels that we would go stay out with my grandparents when we would go to Disney when we were little. So it kind of was like a special place for me, and I was really happy. I always remember being little and the bird cage and everything that they have, or I don't know what that is, that gold cage thing. So she got pictures of me in front of that and everything, and that was really neat. And too, I feel like I always remembered being little and watching Full House, and they went to Disney and they stayed at the Grand Floridian, and Uncle Jesse sang to Becky from there on the piano. So I got a picture in front of the piano. After we were done with that, they brought us over to the wedding chapel into a room, and everybody was already inside at this point. So we were in the side room, and I remember trying to curl these little pieces on the side of my hair, and I could not get them to stay curled because it was just so humid out. So then it was time to go down the aisle, and I am terrible in front of people. I was not nervous about getting married at all. I hate talking in front of people. So, we went down the aisle and everything went perfectly fine. I don't think anything got messed up actually. After the ceremony, then we took pictures with the bridal party. They had everybody standing outside throwing petals at us, and they got pictures of that. Then the whole bridal party and everybody else left, and they just took pictures of me and my husband. So then we got in the limo to go to the reception. They took our drink orders and they asked if we wanted them to make us plates of all the appetizers. So they had that all ready for us when we got there, and we sat in a back room. And the cool thing was we had never been into Animal Kingdom at night before. At the time, Animal Kingdom wasn't open at night. So we went in a back way and got to kind of like walk through some of the back part of Animal Kingdom, which is cool to see. And then they took us into a separate area to have a drink and appetizers by ourselves. Then they brought the rest of the bridal party back out after cocktail hour was over, and we announced everybody, and we walked in and we did our first dance immediately. And I, again, hate people watching me. So I told the DJ that I didn't want to do a full song or something. He's like, well, do you want me to play a little bit of the wedding song, and then I can tell people they can join in. That worked out really well because I felt like all the attention wasn't on us so much, and everybody was dancing with us. I wanted to get everything done at the beginning, so the rest of the night I didn't have to worry about having to, cut the cake or do all that stuff. So we cut the cake, we did all that at the beginning, and got to the point in the night where it was time to take pictures. And we went outside and we took pictures for a little bit. We just took some pictures close by in there, and then we came back in, and I actually had my wedding dress altered so that the bottom would zip off, and because I had to wear it a second time. So my bridesmaids helped me zip that all off, and we put that to the side. And then it was just dancing the rest of the night pretty much, leaving until 1 a.m. So it was really nice because the very last thing the DJ did was he played one last song, and then he asked everybody to get in a circle around me and my husband. And I had no idea what was going on. He didn't tell me he was going to do any of this. He just did it. And it was so cute. He had us go up to each person around the circle, and they kind of just hugged us and said something nice, either a story or just good luck and whatever. But it was really cute, and I had never seen it before. It was really nice, and it kind of gave us just a minute to even say bye to people or thank them for coming. So it was really fun that he did that, and I'm glad he surprised me with that. He was a really good DJ. He did a couple other funny things too. Oh, when my sister went to go give her maid of honor speech, he started playing the soundtrack for Frozen. I don't know if anybody remembers when people used to sing when they did their bridesmaid speech or groomsman speech. So I actually thought she was about to sing, but he was just joking, and she didn't know he was going to do it either. It was really funny. And then, I don't know, he did a few other things. He was just a really good DJ. In order for people to get from the ceremony to the reception, there were like charter buses. They took all the guests from the ceremony to the reception, and there was buses that were waiting there to take people back if they wanted to leave earlier. And then at the end of the night, there were 2 different buses going back to the resort. So depending on which resort you were staying at, you just had to get on the right bus. So everybody went back to the resort. And then it's funny because the beginning of the trip, me and my husband were staying in the villa with my family. And then after, we had our own room. So the night of the wedding, we had our own room. And normally we're on the villa side because we're Disney Vacation Club members, but we were on the inside because Disney gave us a free night for our wedding. So we moved to that room. So the next morning when we woke up, we were going to Animal Kingdom, and he was still tired and he wanted to sleep. I wanted to get going, and my mom's best friend was like, okay, like we're gonna go get Bloody Marys at Animal Kingdom. We're walking back to the room, and I realized I had no idea where I was because I've never been on the inside. So I'm literally just roaming around the halls with a wedding dress. We were like, oh, where's the groom, and joking around with me and stuff. I'm like, I have no idea where I'm at. I'm completely lost right now. So I had to go all the way down to the lobby, then go through and go to the DVC side. So I finally get there. It was a very long walk, and I hurry up, just threw my dress somewhere, and we left. And we went and started drinking Bloody Marys at Animal Kingdom. It was maybe one of 5 times I've ever been to a park right when it opened. So we pretty much spent the morning at Dawa Bar drinking Bloody Marys with Bob the bartender. That's when they had the Bloody Mary bar. I don't know if anybody remembers it, but they had like 4 different kind of Bloody Marys. So we just hung out there and waited for everybody else to get there. And then we spent that day at Animal Kingdom. Then we went over to Magic Kingdom. So much fun being there with everybody and just relaxing and enjoying the day. We had no kids with us. This was prior to pretty much all the kids being born. And it was just the best time. Next days when everybody else started flying home, like some of the family and friends, we actually woke up that morning at like 6 a.m. and had to go do our photo shoot at Magic Kingdom. So I had to get up and do my hair and my makeup. And at the beginning of it, I had my hair down and curled and everything. And then we got there and I was like, it is too hot. I can't have my hair down. And all I had was a black hair tie. And to this day in the pictures, all I can focus on is my black hair tie in my hair. And I was like, why didn't I think this through? So that's all I see when I look at those pictures. But they did turn out beautiful. And there were a lot of far away ones, so it didn't really matter. But it's such a great job. And there was one in particular I was obsessed with, and I ended up using it for our thank yous. And it was a shot she took actually like looking at the water, and it like you could see action in front of the castle. And that was one of my favorite shots she took like the entire wedding, but it was so pretty. To dinner, just the 2 of us at California Grill, and that was amazing. Other than that, I think that wraps up our whole wedding. We left Disney on Saturday, and then the following Friday we had a wedding back here. We did a quick little ceremony in the church, and we had a reception after with anybody who couldn't travel to Florida. So that was nice because I feel like we did get the best of both worlds. Honestly, I couldn't have asked for a more perfect wedding. I was so grateful for everybody involved. They did such a great job. I highly recommend it. Hope you liked hearing about everything. If there's anything else that you guys have questions about or want to see, let me know. Follow us on Instagram at Mickey Mom Blog, and subscribe below and like. Bye.